Have you ever felt completely wiped out, just totally exhausted, but then realized you didn't actually do that much? Well, what if I told you that feeling, that stream, that sweat, that effort, sometimes adds up to literally nothing? Today, we're going to tackle one of the biggest misconceptions about energy and why what you feel is often the complete opposite of what physics knows is true.
Okay, let's get right into it. Picture this. You're holding a super heavy box. Your arms are shaking, you're sweating, you feel like you're in the middle of a serious workout. But if a physicist walked by, they'd look at you, then at the box, not moving, and say, technically, you're doing zero work. How is that even possible? So you've got this total clash, right? On one side, there's the very real feeling of being exhausted. And on the other, you have the cold, hard rules of physics saying that if there's no movement, there's no work. This isn't a trick. To crack this, we just need a new way to think about energy. Let's stop thinking about it as a feeling and start thinking about it like money in a bank account. All right, let's dive in. This one simple analogy, it's going to make everything click. Just imagine that all energy in the universe is managed like a giant bank, with a couple of different accounts for different jobs. So there are two main accounts. First, you've got your savings account. This is stored or potential energy. It's just sitting there, full of value, waiting to be used. Then you have your checking account. This is active or kinetic energy. This is cash being spent right now. It's the energy of doing something. Think of a car parked at the top of a hill. That's pure savings. The second it starts to roll, bam, that's a withdrawal in action. Let's look a little closer at that savings account. Stored energy is all about potential. It's the power to make something happen, just not yet. And what's so cool is that this type of energy is often totally invisible. But trust me, it is everywhere and it is very, very real. And you see this everywhere. A book you're holding up has stored energy just because of its height. A stretched rubber band is just loaded with potential energy. That fully charged battery in your phone? That's just a little packet of stored chemical energy. Heck, the lunch you ate is basically a big deposit of chemical energy into your body's personal savings account. Okay. Now for the fun part, spending that energy. Active or kinetic energy is the energy of motion. It's really simple. If something is moving, it has active energy. This is the energy you can actually see, the energy of things happening in the here and now. You don't need to be a physicist to spot this stuff. A car driving, a river flowing, the wind blowing, it's all energy being withdrawn from that universal checking account. When you're running, your body is actively cashing in the stored energy from your lunch and turning it into motion. Okay, and this brings us to our first big gotcha moment. Now that we have the bank account analogy, we can finally solve the mystery of that heavy box. It all comes down to understanding the huge difference between two words, force and work. First up, force. You can think of force as just the try. It's any push or pull you put on an object. So if you go and push against a solid brick wall with all your might, you are applying a ton of force. No question about it. But, and this is the absolute key, work is the success. In physics, it only counts as work if your force actually makes something move. Work isn't about the effort, it's about the result. If that brick wall doesn't budge an inch, you haven't done any work on it, period. So here's the punchline. After all that pushing and sweating against that wall, the amount of work you've done on the wall is a big fat zero. So why do you feel so tired? Well, it's because all that energy was spent inside your own body. Your muscles were constantly contracting and relaxing, fighting each other just to hold your position. You got tired for sure, but the wall felt nothing. And this leads us to another kind of mind-blowing idea. It turns out that every single time energy gets transferred, like moving money from your savings to your checking, the universe takes a cut. There's a hidden tax on every single energy transaction. It's why nothing is ever perfectly efficient. And this explains exactly why you get so sweaty and tired. Our bodies are actually pretty inefficient. When we convert the chemical energy from our food into movement, only about a quarter of it, just 25%, actually becomes useful motion. So where does the other 75% go? It's paid as the universe's tax in the form of heat. Getting hot when you exercise isn't a side effect. It's literally the main thing your body is producing. And this tax applies to absolutely everything. An old school light bulb? It's basically a heater that happens to glow a little.
A car engine turns gas into forward motion, but a massive chunk of that energy is just lost as heat and friction. That's why engines get so incredibly hot. So, we all know that lifting heavy things or just climbing stairs is hard work. But why exactly? Let's use one more really powerful visual for this. Imagine there's a giant invisible rubber band connecting every single object to the center of the Earth. That's gravity. This makes the energy transfer so clear. When you lift something, you're fighting gravity. You are literally stretching that giant rubber band. All the work you're doing gets loaded into that band as tension. When you get to the top, that band is pulled tight, just humming with stored potential energy. And what happens when you let go? Snap! The band snaps back, and all that stored energy is instantly converted into the explosive energy of motion. Okay, we've talked about bank accounts, we've talked about taxes, we've talked about rubber bands. All of these ideas are pointing to one final, super profound, and completely unbreakable rule that governs every single energy transaction in the cosmos. It's really that simple. Energy can't just be poofed into existence out of nowhere, and it can't just vanish. It is always accounted for. The heat coming off your body, the warmth from a light bulb, the sound of an object hitting the ground. That's not lost energy. It's just energy that changed its outfit. And this is it. This is the law of conservation of energy. And it's probably the most important rule we've talked about today. Everything, from our muscles burning calories to a star burning hydrogen, is just a process of changing energy from one form into another. It is the ultimate, perfectly balanced budget of the entire universe. So next time your phone gets warm while it's charging, or you feel your own body heat up as you walk up a flight of stairs, you'll know exactly what's happening. That's not waste, that's just the universe balancing its books. You're watching an unbreakable law of physics play out in real time. So now I'm curious, where have you noticed energy changing form today, now that you know what to look for? Let me know if you've noticed any of these before. I'll break down more topics like this. Thanks for tuning in.